And so after I pull down all my gear, I think I'm just gonna like remove the head and the neck. Like I'm gonna cut it off and like strap it to my pack, like a Western hunter might do with like a an elk, you know.
Hmm.
And so I go to work and I, sever all the muscles around the spine and I like twist the head off. Um, and while doing that, in all likelihood, my nice fixed blade Swedish made knife falls onto the ground, unbeknownst to myself.
Oh
Um,
no.
and so he's been gutted already. I didn't mention that, but I'd already gutted him. And so I have like one last strap and I'm gonna strap his head to my back. I'll hike out and then I'll come back with my jet sled is my thought. And so I kneel down just to put the head on the stand, and I have this hot pain in my leg, and I think, oh shit, that is a sharp stick. That's like my first thought. And then I
Hmm.
like glance over at my quiver because I think like, did I drop an arrow? I had read an article on Meat Eater about a guy like stepping on a broadhead that looked exactly like the ones that I had. And then that's
Yeah.
my second thought. I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. God, I'm stupid. And like that happens instantly. And I sort of like push back from the what I find is the knife. I like push back from it, and it like leaves my leg, all in like one motion. Just like push away from it, and I look down. My knife is like buried in the dirt with the blade up in the most absurd way that you could possibly ever imagine. I just knelt down on this thing that like, how did it fall that way? How is the grass
Hmm.
strong enough? Like, how did I kneel on it? Like, of all the things, it's just so stupid. And so I immediately think like I took human anatomy class in college. Like,
Hmm.
do I have an artery over here? I don't know, but I'm squirting blood. Like this is not good. This is not good. And you start to think about like, okay, am I going to be okay? I don't know. I should put a tourniquet like on this like immediately. I have like an underlayer that I pull up like from my ankle all the way over the knee. And use that as like a bandage, like put some pressure on it. And then I get one of the straps from my pack and I just like pull, like pull the
Hmm.
the strap around my thigh and I do it tightly. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to be all right. I think I'm going to be all right. But talk about an adrenaline dump. You just kill a deer and you slit its throat, and now you're bleeding, and all of this is just like flying through my head. I gotta make it all the way back to the car. Not only that, I
Hmm.
should probably make it all the way back and then come back for the deer. And so all this is like flying through my head, and I get a call from Matt Geiger, and he's like, "Oh, hey, buddy, you shot something." I had texted him like right when I shot it, and
Hmm.
he's like, "That's awesome. Bring it to my house." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, okay. I'll bring it there." Uh, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I cut myself really bad. And he's like, oh, okay, sure. Like, are you okay, buddy? You know, like any like good friend, he starts giving me shit. Like, you're such an
Yeah.
idiot, whatever. And um, I tell him like, I'm gonna be there, but it's gonna take me a while. And I had tried to call my wife. She didn't answer, and I texted her like, "Hey, I love you very much. Thanks for always supporting me in all of these." You know, because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like either
Yeah.
like there's an artery there or there's not. And like if
Yep.
there is, like, what am I gonna do? Again, I'm 2 miles away from the car, and I am who knows how far away from civilization. I mean, like,
Hmm.
I guess maybe Monroe would be like the nearest place, but I didn't even think about um Monroe. I'm like, super far away. Another thing I consider is like, do I call an ambulance? What are they gonna do? They're gonna like bring an ambulance to the gate and then walk all the way here with what? Like it just seemed all like absurd to suggest that like that would be necessary. And then also
Hmm.
you stupid things like the acknowledgement that like this would be very expensive. Like if I have great health insurance and I know that I'm going to pay $40,000 out of pocket for this wound if I call to get like dragged out of here, which is like
Yep.
obviously you don't want to lose your life, but you're making all these like calculations in your head like, okay, I don't think it's fatal, I think it's just going to suck, and I don't want to like add insult to injury. And so all that goes through my head, and I decide like I'm going to walk out of here I'm going to take this deer head out and I'm going to make it to the car and I'm coming back for the deer. Like it's going to happen. So I
And by
start,
this point, like, is the pain starting to set in as the adrenaline wears off, or did the adrenaline kind of just keep on going?
I feel like discomfort and almost like the initial pain happens. And then I'm like so worked up about all of these considerations that like I'm not in any worse pain than I'm in, I don't know, for a lot of other things that I've done in my life. And so
Hmm.
I'm just like, this is just painful. It sucks. And I like stand up for the first time and I'm like, okay, I can stand and I'm just going to kind of like start walking. So I make it like nearly to the car and I'm starting to get like cramping in the leg and my knee is starting to feel pretty bad. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get to the car. I'm going to charge my phone a little bit. I've already like given my location to my wife and my buddy and, digitally, of course. And then I'm going to see how I feel. I drink some water. I listen to some house music, like turn on like, just like, I need to like get pumped up. I'm like,
Yeah.
like I got to get ready for this. And then I just strap the jet sled to my back, essentially, like with another ratchet strap. And I'm like, I'm going back for the deer. And when I get like another mile down the trail, like back from the car, I'm in a lot of pain, like
Hmm.
a significant amount of pain where I end up texting my buddy, I'm struggling. That's it. Nothing else needed
Hmm.
to be said. Like this is now a real struggle. And I I'm taking essentially like one normal step and then dragging my right leg, one normal step, dragging my right leg, one normal step, dragging my right leg. And I eventually make it back to the deer. And then you just get that like the feeling of like, I can't do this. Like I can, like, it's hard for me to drag a deer out over all the deadfall, through these drainages just when I'm able bodied, let
Hmm.
alone my leg is throbbing and I'm starting to feel funny. I don't know, like whether it's like shock or just like the pain is becoming so like visceral that like I can't quite um I don't know. I'm having a hard time facing emotionally like in a positive way the situation. I'm starting to
Hmm.
feel doubt. I'm starting to feel like oh shit, what was me? And one of the things that kept me going is like just the acknowledgement that like this is part of the game. Like you're in a blood sport. Like this is part of uh, what you signed up for. You just killed this deer with an arrow and then slit its throat, and you're gonna bow out with like a little wound to your knee. Like, come on, man, what are you doing? If you don't want to hunt, then you shouldn't. Or if you want to hunt, then you should be ready to accept the consequences of what that entails.
Hmm.
And so, um, giving myself a pep talk. I had talked to a brother-in-law about World War I the other day, and so for whatever reason, I'm thinking about like the number of people in history that have had it way worse than me and endured way worse things than I have ever even begun to endure, and how this is like such a minor inconvenience in the long run. And so with that sort of like in the back of my mind, I'm like, let's go. Let's do this. And I get that deer in the sled and I start pulling and man, does my leg fucking hurt. And it just is what it is. And I went down the trail one foot after another, after another, after another. And I got to like the last hill and I started like um I don't like thinking like I can do it, and having like my body start to like almost give up on me. Like
Hmm.
I was feeling so much pain in my knee that like I couldn't put almost any weight on it, and so um it just was that was so hard. I mean, it was incredibly physically taxing in that moment. And I get to the car, I feel a ton of relief, and I realize how am I going to lift this lifeless body into the back of the car with only one leg, like trying to squat
Hmm.
down with one leg and do it. So I got to the car and it took me a half hour of like trying to get the deer into the back of the car. And
Oh.
and I think that was like there was a moment where I was like feeling pretty down, like, oh, I can't even get in the car. I'm such an idiot. Um, Obviously, ultimately I did. And and then I drove home left footed. Well, I shouldn't say drove home. I drove to my buddy's house who was waiting there, and Matt Geiger, I pull up and he's like, "Oh, hey, buddy, how you doing?" And I can barely get out of the car. I'm like, "Oh," and I like sort of like slide along the car with my good leg and like hold my right leg. And he's like, oh, maybe you should go to the hospital. And I was like, yeah, I will. I will. Oh, I will. And so he takes the deer out of there, and I head home. I called my wife a few times. She's not answering. It is now like 12:30. Mind you, I shot
Mhm.
this deer at like 5:15.
Right.
The drive is an hour and a half. So we're talking about a pretty long period of time that it took me to get the deer out of there. And I get to my house, and I'm like, I'm gonna wake up my wife, and I'm gonna have her drive me. And I go to get out of the car, and I can barely get out of the car again. It's just like it's all seized up. I'm in immense pain, and so I was like, screw it, I'm gonna drive myself to the hospital. And from there, it was like, you get in there, every nurse is like, what did you do? What is wrong with you? Why didn't you just leave the deer? You can get meat at the store. And for each one of those people, like no one wants to hear. They're not really asking those questions.
Mhm.
Just like, this is something that I had to see through to the end. There was no, for me, there was no consideration like, oh, I'll just leave the deer. It's not.
Mhm.
I would never think about it in a positive way ever again. And so, you know, luckily, despite the fact that like the ER doctor and the PA, as they were talking, they were like, oh, it'd be a miracle if he doesn't need knee surgery. Hopefully he didn't sever, they could see into my joint. Like, hopefully he didn't sever
Mhm.
the little sac uh, that like, I guess, encapsulates your knee, your meniscus and stuff. Because if he did,
Mhm.
you'll get sepsis, and the LCL is almost assuredly like, yeah, you make that face. So I was the same thing. It was like, the PA told me, we're going to give you a CAT scan, and if you sever this like sac, that there's fluid in your knee, that's very bad.
Mhm.
And my question was like, very bad, like I'll need surgery? And she's like, very bad, like you'll get sepsis, which didn't illuminate any new thing for me. I was like, and very bad, like I'll need what? And she's like, very bad, like you could die. Like, we can't treat infections in the knee. We just can't do it. And I thought, like, all the things in modern medicine, like, I had no idea that
Right.
knee was like a vital location, that like if you get a sharp stick in your knee, that could kill you. And so there was like real gravity to the situation, but they'd also given me morphine. And so I felt very at ease with all of it. I'm like, well, I mean, I guess, sure. That's what happens.
I suppose it is what it is, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. As I'm like sort of drifting off. Um, but like, miraculously, I severed some muscles. I cut a tendon. I did not cut the LCL. I didn't puncture that knee sac. And so they were like, go to the doctor, the orthopedic surgeon, on Monday, which would have been like 6 days afterwards. And he'll give you some additional tests. And if those come back fine, you don't need surgery. I didn't need surgery. And I'm like back to relative normal. I mean, there's like an occasional twinge in the knee. And if I
Mhm.
down and do anything super extreme with like bending, it feels funny. But I mean, geez Louise, feel very, very fortunate for how the whole day played out in its totality.
Totally, dude. Holy smokes. That is one hell of a story. Like, man, I appreciate so much you sharing that story and just what was going through, like the thought process behind it. Like, I love that for whatever reason you had watched that or been talking with you said it was your brother about World War I
Right. Yeah.
documentaries or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
like that was what you were able to like, okay, if I put it in perspective from that, because like what like I don't know, just weird shit. Like, what happens if you didn't have that conversation and then you're in that situation, you're having the same thing? I'm like, well, what, like, not to say like what would you draw from in that moment, but like, would you have done it?